The forces of the Western Liberation Front are effectively fighting a bitter and intensive battle against the Russians and the Cuban mechanized forces in Jigjiga area, and are inflicting heavy losses in both men and equipment on them. At the end of last week, a massive airborne attack was launched by the Russian commanding generals against Jigjiga. It was preceded by waves after waves of bombers carrying out concentrated bombing and strafing against Jigjiga. The fighters and the bombers were taking off from Russian warship on the Gulf of Aden. This was followed by large armored helicopters transporters under the cover of MiG-21 and 23, which poured into the area mechanized units with the most modern tanks, artillery, etc., mined by the Russians and the Cuban. There were no Ethiopian troops in this offensive, unless the Russians have become the Ethiopian army and the Cubans have become the Ethiopian militia. Has no role in the present fighting, as they are not trained in the use of these sophisticated weapons and are still suffering from low morale as a result of their repeated defeat by the Western Somali Liberation Front forces. These large mechanized units of Russian and Cuban troops have been surrounded by the troops of the Western Liberation Front and at present cannot move from Jigjiga. The victory after victory predicted by the Ethiopian ambassador to Kenya is nothing but a dream. This naked and unashamed attack by the USSR superpower in their execution of their imperialistic expansion of political and strategic objectives is a danger today for the Horn of Africa and the surrounding areas. But the acceptance of this alien force of Russians and Cubans in Africa carries the seed of destruction for independence in Africa and the Middle East, and can have the grave consequences at the time when it may well be too late to effectively counter this unopposed move by USSR. The forces of the Western Liberation Front will continue to fight hard in the defense of their home, and final victory cannot be denied to them by the use of force, as their inspiration is firmly based on the will of the people for the freedom and self-determination. And today, the latest news we received, there are 3 Russian generals in Jigjiga and 2 higher Cuban officers in Jigjiga.
What are the names?
Well, the names we don't follow yet, but this is the true story.
But you, yes, Mr. Ambassador, you said it's a lie?
The Russians and Cubans with their mechanized force is in Jigjiga. And I'm telling you that there are 3 generals today and 2 high-ranking Cuban officers.
Could you tell us how you know that? How do you know there are 3 Russian generals or 2?
We have got information from our intelligence sources.